I stop and smell the flowers.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping you're all doing really well, and I wanted to say a really big thank you to all who watched my first podcast. I truly appreciate all the wonderful comments and feedback. This is, of course, a work in progress, so hopefully moving forward it will get better and better. Every single day we have our own struggles as well as blessings. It can be somewhat difficult to remain positive throughout the whole day. However, I do try to end up spending most of my time focusing on what I have to be grateful for. This is why I decided to talk about the power of instant karma and paying it forward. Sometimes these two ideologies actually intersect. I was recently reading something that reminded me how doing things for others in our comfort zone is not quite the same or as rewarding as giving when it's uncomfortable for us. For example, donating old clothes or other items just to clean out your house does not have the very same intention or value as giving when it's more difficult. I feel sharing your very last food money with a complete stranger could require a little more compassion and effort than cooking for your family, although both are definitely worth the effort. So, thinking about this reminded me of a great memory of something that happened when my daughter was fairly young. I always tried to teach her good manners, respect for everyone, and how important it was to help whenever we could. To give a little background, during the 80s, I was a single mom living with my 7-year-old daughter in Hollywood. I usually worked as a waitress or bartender in some of the very, very best places. The pay was excellent, so I only had to work a few days or evenings a week. My priority was to spend as much time as possible together with her, and my job situation allowed for that. We had a few favorite hangouts, just like most mothers and daughters. This one particular place we liked was only a few blocks from our apartment. It was a nicely renovated neighborhood strip mall with a few good restaurants, stores, and ice cream parlor. Although it would sometimes attract a few homeless people, they were always harmless, so we felt safe and we had a good time going there for lunch or dessert. Well, we used to see this very old hunchbacked woman who seemed to be very down on her luck. She made a big impact on us. I mean, obviously, she was homeless, old, and deformed, so we felt very sorry for her situation. One day, as we were getting ready to go get some ice cream, my daughter came over to me, and I could see she was very excited. She was jumping up and down, saying, "Mom, Mom, can I please give my money to the poor hunchback lady?" The Christmas season was upon us, and my daughter had gotten some money from relatives to buy herself some gifts. I was so proud of her for wanting to give away the money she just received. I realized she had such a generous heart, much more even than myself. I immediately said, "Yes, of course. Just remember it was your decision, and don't ask me later to give you back the money." We agreed and then set out to find this woman. We spotted her right away in her usual place, and my girl could hardly contain herself. I'd barely parked the car when she tore off her seatbelt, jumped out of the car, and ran over to give the lady her $20. I thought this was so sweet, and she was as excited as if she was going to Disneyland. We were both very happy about this decision to share. We got an ice cream and then went home. Well, about a week later, I was working at the Hungry Tiger. My friend had dropped my daughter off at my job after picking her up from school. So she patiently waited for me, sitting at a table as I finished my shift. Well, evidently, this older woman had been watching her because she came over to me and she said, "Your daughter seems so sweet and has such good behavior. I was wondering, could I give her $20 to spend on herself for Christmas?" Well, I was so surprised. I laughed out loud because I realized what a great lesson in instant karma, something my daughter would always remember. Not only did she get the same exact amount of money back that she had unselfishly given out, but it was also from an elderly woman. It was such a great lesson for learning how karma can work. I've never forgotten this story because it had a huge impact on us, and I've always admired my daughter's generous heart. The concept of paying it forward has become very popular, and I've also tried to embrace this idea. I've had many people, friends, and certain family members help me out over the years. Some helped with money, others by giving of their time or support. I have been blessed with awesome gifts and tremendous vacations. So these days I try to remember those blessings and, when possible, do a random act of kindness for strangers as well as my family members. In my last show, I talked about the group Pay It Forward, which I joined a few months back. Feeling compelled to do something of service, I went online one day and found a woman who needed some household items as well as someone to go shopping to get her family enough food to last for a few days. She had just moved to a new home with no transportation. Her husband needed their only car for work, and she was home alone with small children. There wasn't even a nearby store or bus line she could use. So I decided to get a list from her, rounded up a few things from my house that I could share, then proceeded to go shopping for her. She lived quite a few miles away, and it took me about 30-40 minutes to drive there. Now, the only reason why this was a challenge is because I have limited vision, so I don't like to drive to new places very much anymore. But the good feeling of helping outweighed the reluctance of driving, and also I wanted to do it because I would want someone to do it for me. I learned a long time ago, if you do a favor, do it with love, not resentment, or it loses its value, which can be another good lesson. I share these experiences because I hope to maybe inspire others to do the same or give them some good ideas. I know we're not supposed to brag about good deeds, but for me it's a balance of not promoting myself while at the same time trying to be a good influence. I know giving is always a blessing, and the following week I had a few important, wonderful financial successes. I felt this was due to my helping her. Simply a reminder to myself, what we give out, we get back tenfold. And it feels really good to be a giver. If anyone listening has their own story about instant karma or paying it forward, I'd love to hear it. Send an email to thevelvethammerwithcynzi.com or leave a message in the comments if it's not too wordy. I'd be happy to talk about it in a future episode because I want to include my audience. That's why I'm doing this show. It's about sharing experiences. It's not all about me. Speaking about sharing, in the last show I talked about inspiring words being something I'd like to promote each week. The quotes I'd like to share this week are both very inspiring and hopeful. We usually have the power to change our lives whenever we believe in ourselves and take some control as well as assuming responsibility. When I was younger, I remember it used to bother me when my father said, "You make your own luck." And I would think, how the heck do you make your own luck? Isn't luck something you receive out of nowhere without any help or any influence? Well, it took me a good long while to realize what this truly means. The funny thing was, I finally had an epiphany while driving through San Francisco, which happened to be my dad's birthplace and favorite city. He'd passed on by then, and I felt he was probably laughing at me, but glad I finally got it. And just like creating our own luck, we each create our own reality. It's not just random circumstances infiltrating our lives. We are all responsible for every single thing that happens. There are no mistakes. There are no accidents. Everything we do on a daily basis, minute by minute, produces our future events. I truly believe this, which led me to embrace the next two statements. The first one is, energy goes where attention flows. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, complaining about this and that, the day will often play out with more unwanted annoyances. You set the tone. I found it's usually better to face a problem, find a proactive way to resolve it, than forget about it. That allows you to move on as quickly as possible. Don't stay in a bad mood or be a victim if you want to turn things around. It just won't work. I'm not saying to ignore things we don't like, just not to dwell on them. Find the best way to handle any situation, then go find something that makes you laugh or smile. Number 2, man becomes what he thinks about. Do you love and respect yourself, or do you constantly condemn yourself for not being good enough? The I am statement is much more powerful than we've been led to believe. Never ever say I am, then follow it with derogatory words such as I am stupid, I am fat, I am old, I am dumb, I am worthless, etc. This will not help anything. Beating ourselves up is the worst thing we can do. Instead, you can try to remember you're doing the best you can with what you have. Think about the most excellent you. Write down some possible goals. Try thinking about what you would do if you were in total control of every situation. I like to encourage people to pretend they're writing a book or a movie script. You are the main character and can have or be absolutely anything, well, within reason, of course, that you want. Then remember to envision these ideas with as much emotion as you can, as often as you can. It really works. I've done it. It may not always be exactly as you imagined it, but it will usually be pretty close. Dr. Wayne Dyer puts into perspective in another way. He says, you'll see it when you believe it. And I'll be talking more about this in an episode called Create Your Own Reality, as well as talking about Dr. Wayne Dyer in the future. In the previous episode, I listed some of my favorite podcasts, and I'd like to add to a few more to the list right now. Once again, you can let me know what you think and or some you'd like to recommend. I may be unaware of some wonderful shows and you can let me know about. The first person I'd like to recommend would be Red Pill 78. He does a very comprehensive report on the important issues of the day. He covers political and topical events with the intensity of an old school newscaster. I really like his straight to the point, in-depth professional reporting style. Number 2, ABL. Here's another very articulate conservative gentleman who gets to the heart of things while discussing top stories from social media. He often engages with his audience through live streaming, takes calls, then likes to give his own spin on things and wrap it up with a nice bow on top. 3, Dr. Steve Turley. He's a highly educated doctor with extreme knowledge on many subjects. I like listening to him. He's very upbeat and has his own take on current events. He also offers a free ebook that lists many great online sources for news and truth. And number 4 is Robert Gruler, Esquire. He belongs to the R&R Law Group, which is an award-winning law firm in Arizona. This channel is called Watching the Watchers, another very good show as it presents a daily dive into all current law-related subjects. He sticks to the facts and rarely gives opinions. It's a great way to catch up on all things legal. In the near future, I'll post some of these shows with their links on my website in case people want to reference them at a later date. I also plan on adding pages for recipes, book recommendations, the quotes I've posted before, and more. I'll let everyone know as soon as I've actually taken care of this. It'll be easier than trying to find past information from the podcasts. And if you don't know by now, it's time to ditch all mainstream media. Try truthful news stations like OAN, RSBN, or NTD. Also, there are several platforms like Gab that do not censor free speech. I'll post many of these as well on my website. I'm trying to do a weekly podcast, however, it may be more than a week from time to time, depending on my schedule. I'd ultimately like to have a permanent date so anyone following my show will know the particular day and time each week. It will probably be on a Sunday, so people will have time to plan and watch over the weekend. I'd like to end today's show on an upbeat note with another cute story to share with you. I thought it was sweet and thought you might enjoy it as well. This little boy came running over to his father and was very excited. His eyes were sparkling and he could barely stand still. He was smiling from ear to ear and he said, "Daddy, Daddy, I found the girl of my dreams and I want to marry her. She really loves me and she thinks I'm the most wonderful boy in the world. She's always nice to me, finds time to play with me, and she laughs at all of my jokes." The dad started smiling at his son and he said, "Wow, that sounds really great. Who is it? What's her name?" The little boy's face lit up as he said, "It's Grandma." The father tried to stifle a laugh and says, "Honey, you can't marry Grandma. She's my mother." Without missing a beat, the little boy says, "Why not? You married my mother." Well, I absolutely love stories about children and the funny things they say or their take on life. Their innocence is so charming and engaging. I can only speak for myself, but with so many distressful things going on throughout the world, I think we can all use a break. Humor is a good way to alleviate the negative effects of a crazy world. So I hope you enjoyed the show and got a little relief from the nonstop fear porn churned out by the mainstream media. I'm about to sign off and wish everyone much love and tremendous blessings. We all have a purpose and reason for being here. Always remember that. Appreciate each other. Appreciate yourself. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope I'll see you next week. By the way, the song that you heard at the introduction of this podcast is called Every Day, and the song you're about to hear now at the outro is called Love is All That Matters. You can find those on my CD with my group Sugar Plum the Band, and I will leave those links at the end of the reel. Bye bye.
Come on over, listen to my song. You might even want to sing along. It makes you stay a while if it makes you smile. You have a chance to save the world every day. Of all the people who come your way, kindness or two. Welcome back to you. Love is all that matters. Love is why we're here. So let's love everybody, no exceptions, who they are. Offer blessings as you walk down the street. See the light in everyone that you meet. Come on and let your light shine into your brother's mind. Take an instant to change your life. Remove worries, doubts, and strife. You're gonna give it to God, but to the Lord above. 'Cause you know love is all that matters, yeah. Ooh, and love is why we're here. So let's love everybody, no exceptions, who they are. Don't you wanna put a smile on your face? A smile in your heart and God's good grace can get a peace of mind. You're right now inside. You can be happy, God can make life great. Take a moment and don't hesitate, 'cause give it to you, yeah, yeah, and give it to me. Love is all that matters. Love is all that matters. Love is why we're here. Love is why we're here. So let's love everybody, no exceptions, no exceptions.